from a storytelling channel. Today we are going to read a story from the Frog Princess collection. And this is the story of Princess Puddles and the Singing Frog. Let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a princess who was obsessed with her looks. She spent hours upon hours staring at her reflection in the golden mirror that hung on her bedroom wall. Now, it wasn't that she was vain or anything like that. Oh, no, she just liked seeing how beautiful she was. See, Princess Puddles loved herself. In fact, she loved herself so much that every day she would dress up in her favorite ball gown and dance around her room singing, "Look at me, look how pretty I am, look at my hair, my eyes and chin." She sang these silly songs while twirling around in her fancy silk stockings and leather slippers. And then she would strike a pose and sing, "I am the fairest of them all." Now, the princess was so pretty with her rosy red cheeks and silky golden hair. But her favorite thing about herself were her big green eyes, because they reminded her of springtime when everything is fresh and new. However, the funny thing was that even though the princess was so pretty, she didn't have a single friend. You see, she spent so much time admiring her own beauty that she never had time to be friends with anyone else. Every morning she would wake up early to brush her long locks, and then she would spend her days gazing out of her tower window. And by the time she was done, the sun would go down and she would spend the evening singing to her golden mirror. One night, as the princess was practicing her favorite song, she heard a small tapping sound coming from the windowsill. So she stopped singing and went to investigate. As she peered outside, she saw something strange sitting on her windowsill. It was a little frog, but not just any frog. No, this frog was wearing a tiny velvet smoking jacket and a matching top hat, and he looked very important. Hello," said the princess. "Can I help you?" The frog looked up at the princess with his bulging frog eyes and said in a deep voice, "Good evening, Princess Puddles. I have come for you must hear my singing." The princess was confused. She didn't know why a frog would want to sing for her, especially not a frog wearing a hat. But she liked music and she had nothing better to do, so she sat down on the window seat next to the frog and waited for him to begin. The frog took a deep breath and closed his eyes and began to sing. His voice was very deep and resonant, and he sang about faraway lands and magical things. The princess listened intently, and when the song was over, she clapped her hands together and said, "That was wonderful. Please sing another song for me." The frog sat down on the windowsill and thought for a moment. "I have another song that I would love to share with you," he said. And once again, he closed his eyes and began to sing. This time he sang about a beautiful princess who lived in a tall tower and how she spent all her time admiring her own reflection. The princess listened and her heart sank. How did this frog know about her? Was he spying on her? Did he watch her every day from outside her window? She was frightened, but she still wanted to hear his song. So she stayed there listening as he croaked out the sad tale of the lonely princess in the tower. When the song was finished, the princess jumped off the window seat and backed away from the frog. "How did you know all those things about me?" she asked. "Because I know many things," replied the frog proudly. "In fact, I know everything that goes on in this kingdom. I'm the most knowledgeable frog in the entire land. Why, I even know what's going on inside your head." The princess gasped and stumbled backward. "What? How can you know what I'm thinking?" she exclaimed. "Because I'm not just any frog, Princess Puddles. I am the royal singing frog of this kingdom, and it is my duty to observe the princess and make sure she is well." Okay," stammered the princess. Then she paused for a moment before asking, "Why do you care if I'm well? Why do you even bother with me?" The frog adjusted his hat and puffed out his chest. "Because it is my duty as the royal singing frog to look after you. And I have been watching you for many months now. I've seen how sad you are." "You are sad, aren't you?" The princess nodded slowly. "Yes, I am sad. I don't have any friends. I have no one to talk to. I'm all alone up here in this tower." She looked down at the singing frog. "Do you think I'm a bad person, Froggy?" she asked. "No, Princess, you're not a bad person at all. You are actually quite the opposite. You are kind and gentle and very pretty. But you need someone to show you that there is more to life than just looking pretty. Someone to show you that there are other things to do besides singing and dancing and staring at your reflection." The princess looked back out the window and sighed sadly. "I wish I could find someone like that. But where would I even begin to look?" The frog hopped closer to the princess and leaned in so that she could hear him better. He said, "You don't need to look anywhere, Princess. All you have to do is open your eyes, and you will see that there are people who care about you. People who would be happy to be your friend." Then the frog hopped onto the window seat and struck a pose. "In fact, I will show you who they are. Just sit back and relax, Princess, and enjoy the show." And with that, he began to sing. The princess watched the frog in amazement as he launched into a rousing rendition of "Look at Me, Look How Pretty I Am." Only this time, instead of singing it sadly, he sang it with such joy and enthusiasm that the princess couldn't help but smile. As the song came to an end, the frog bowed deeply and waited for her reaction. Then, as if by magic, the sound of clapping filled the room, and the princess turned to see that the guards who had been standing silently in the corner were now cheering and clapping for the frog. One of the guards, a brave young woman with curly red hair, hopped off the window seat and curtsied to the princess. "Your Highness, would you like to come down and join us for a party?" she asked. "We would love to have you." The princess hesitated for a moment, but then she took a deep breath and said yes. And so, hand in hand with the guard with curly red hair, the princess skipped down the stairs and into the courtyard where a merry band was playing lively music and all the townspeople had gathered to welcome her. From that day forward, Princess Puddle was never lonely again. In fact, she became the happiest princess in the kingdom, and she had the singing frog to thank for it. The end. Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell to get notified about our new releases. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.